everyone, and welcome. Today, we are going to dig deep, literally, into one of the most vital, but kind of invisible, processes happening right under our feet. We're about to uncover the soil's secret financial system, ion exchange. So we all know that plants get their food from the soil, right? But how does that actually happen? Do the roots just kind of suck up nutrients like a straw? Well, the real answer is so much cooler and way more complex than you'd think. To really get this, we have to change how we think about soil. It's not just dirt, not at all. For the rest of this explainer, I want you to imagine it's a bustling, microscopic bank, a nutrient bank, where all the essential elements for life are deposited, stored, and withdrawn every single second.
Okay, so every bank needs a currency, right? It needs cash. Well, in our soil bank, the currency isn't dollars or euros, it's ions.
And what in the world is an ion? It's actually pretty simple. It's just an element that's either gained or lost an electron, which gives it a tiny electrical charge. And believe me, that little charge is the key to this whole thing. In this system, we've basically got two types of currency. First up, we have cations, and these guys have a positive charge. Think of them as the really valuable stuff: calcium, magnesium, potassium. Then you've got anions with a negative charge, like nitrates. But for right now, we're going to focus on those positively charged cations, because they are the stars of the show.
All right, so we've got our bank and we've got our currency. But how does a plant actually make a withdrawal? How does the whole exchange work?
Well, the vaults in our soil bank are these tiny, tiny particles of clay and organic matter, what we call humus. And here is the magic trick. These little particles naturally have a negative charge. And, just like with magnets, opposites attract.
So here's how a transaction goes down. First, all those positive nutrients, like calcium, get pulled in and stick to the negative soil particles. They're locked in the vault, safe and sound. Then, a plant root comes along, and it wants to make a withdrawal. To do that, it releases its own positive ions, usually some hydrogen, and then a swap happens. The plant's hydrogen ion kicks the nutrient off the soil particle and takes its place. Now that nutrient is free-floating, and the root can slurp it right up. It's a perfect one-for-one trade.
And that's the more, textbook definition of it. It's this elegant, precise exchange of one positive ion for another of the exact same value. This little dance is happening constantly, and it is the absolute foundation of how plants get the food they need to grow.
So if soil is a bank, then how do we measure how wealthy it is? How do we figure out how big its savings account is? We measure it with something called the cation exchange capacity, or just CEC. Basically, it's a number that tells you how many of those negatively charged parking spots the soil has to hold on to all those good nutrient ions. So the main takeaway is this: a higher CEC means a richer, wealthier soil bank that can store way more nutrients for your plants. But, and this is a huge but, not all bank vaults are created equal. Just look at the difference here. Some types of clay, like kale millet, have a pretty low capacity, a CEC of just 8. Another type, montmorillonite, is way better at 80. But then look at humus. That's the organic matter. It has a mind-blowing CEC of 200. And you can really see that difference here. Sandy soil, it barely has any ability to hold nutrients. Clay soil is definitely better, but humus, that dark, rich organic matter, just absolutely dwarfs them both. This is exactly why adding compost to your garden is such a game changer. You are literally increasing the size of your soil's bank account. But, it's not just about how big the bank account is it? It's also about what kind of money you've got inside. This is where something called percentage-based saturation comes in. It's just a way of asking what percentage of those storage spots are filled with the good stuff, the beneficial nutrients like calcium and magnesium, versus the more acidic, not-so-great ones like hydrogen. Ideally, a really healthy, fertile soil bank is going to look something like this. You want about 80 to 90% of its capacity filled up with those wonderful base cations, leaving just a little bit of room for the acidic ones. Getting that balance right is absolutely critical for happy plants. And when you nail that balance, especially with a lot of calcium in the mix, that's when the magic happens. The soil gets this amazing, crumbly, porous structure. It lets air and water move through easily. The pH level evens out to neutral, which is the sweet spot where most plants just love to grow.
Okay, let's pull back for a second. We've gone from talking about plain old dirt to this incredibly complex financial system happening at a microscopic level. So let's bring it all home. Why does this invisible bank matter so much?
Well, without ion exchange, plants wouldn't be able to get to the nutrients in the soil, period. The soil's structure would just collapse. The pH would be all over the place. Any fertilizer you'd add would just wash away with the next rain. Honestly, it's the engine that drives pretty much all of agriculture and really most life on land.
So, the really crucial point is this. We have to see our soil not as some dead, inert thing, but as a living, breathing bank. It's a system that we have to manage carefully, making sure there are enough deposits and smart withdrawals to keep it healthy and able to sustain life for years and years to come.
And that just leaves us with one final thought. The next time you're walking around outside, I want you to think about that incredible, invisible economy working tirelessly right beneath your feet. And ask yourself, what's in your soil's bank account?